right, let me give you an update from the weekend because a lot of things happened. One thing that happened is Conor versus Poirier is all but official. And if I was to quote Dana White, all we're waiting on is the contracts. Look, Poirier's taking that fight. We all know it. The UFC has found a date of which they didn't even have. Dana said we created this date for Conor and Conor McGregor, whether you guys like it or not, you'd be the biggest hater in the world. Conor McGregor is a man of his word. Now, Conor might blow in the wind and he might throw a whole bunch of ideas out there, but once he settles in on one and he says he's going to do it, he goes out and does it. Conor's fighting Poirier, and I feel like that's very interesting because Poirier made a very interesting comment, right? And the question is, why are they fighting? Are they fighting just to entertain us? Are they fighting because Khabib said whoever gets through Poirier gets to me? Are they fighting because Poirier is still upset about his first fight with Conor when he got thrown in there with Conor, not having enough footage on Conor, maybe feels like he got caught by surprise by Conor, maybe it's because Poirier really became Poirier after that fight with Conor. I don't know. Why are they fighting? I don't know. But I don't know what more reasons we need. And what Poirier said, and I quote, is 25 minutes to make life fair. I found it to be a very interesting comment. What does that mean? My interpretation of what that means is the boogie monster in my closet of my career is my fight with Conor McGregor. That's how I interpreted that. And that's a story we can all relate to, right? We all have something we wish we would have redone, or we would have redone differently, or we'd like a redo at. And that could be anything all the way down to a quiz in school on a math problem, right? It can be anything. But if I could just go redo that, if I could just redo that, then I would have qualified for this class. And then I could have got a scholarship. And then I could have gone to this school. And then I would have met this girl. I mean, right, it's one of those things. So if Poirier needs to fix his life by getting in there with Conor McGregor and either having a contest where he can live with the result and go, okay, you proved it to me and you're the guy, or I proved it to you and I'm the guy. In that first fight, we got to erase. Whatever it is, but I like that story. I like that story. Conor is a great storyteller. But on this one, Conor has yet to tell the story. He has just told the who and the what. He has not yet told us the why. I look forward to that. I trust that Conor will. I think that Conor is smart enough to do this, but that is the piece that he's missing right now, right? If Conor wants to do this big, massive piece of business, yes, Conor Mania is real. But even Conor Mania fluctuates. It fluctuates. And the piece that they are not telling us yet is why are we here? If it's all about Khabib, I'm in, but I need to be told by you. If this is about, I like Dustin and, I thought Dustin got a bad. I mean, don't forget, Nate Diaz created a fight with George Masvidal by saying, I have a golden ticket and this guy's been screwed and this guy reminds me a lot of myself and therefore I'm going to help him out. Okay, great. That's not based on any personal animosity, but that's one hell of an interesting story that had never been told. I've never seen anybody do a call out and say, I want to help this guy because he reminds me of myself. Never heard it before. Loved it the second I did. They went and booked Madison Square Garden and The Rock showed up. I mean, you see what I'm saying? The why is so important. The better why you have, the better it is. But if you leave the why out, we have nothing to do here. Okay, great. So that's one piece of the weekend. Then ESPN treated everybody. I mean, talk about a pandemic special. They give us Lomachenko in a world unification fight with Lopez for free. Turn on ESPN, you're going to have this fight. So I did. I turned on ESPN. And I talked to Kevin Iole. Before anything goes on in boxing, I always reach out to Kevin Iole because I like boxing, but I don't follow it perfectly close, and it's a little bit hard to, in all fairness. Boxing makes it a little bit hard to follow, guys. I just said, look, man, does Lopez belong in here? Iole said, you bet he does. This guy can really crack. That was a quote. So I'm watching the fight, and I know Lomachenko. I mean, this guy's special. From the Ukraine, won the Olympic Games twice. There's a lot of BS in boxing. It's just the way it is. There's not what we call a competitive architecture in boxing. Somebody becomes champion, and then a lot of people keep everybody worth a damn away from that guy because he can stay champion, not in the Olympics. Olympics is a straight line bracket. He won that thing, and then he came back and won it again. So this is a very special fighter. And I have to resort back to his amateur record because you can trust whoever comes to the Olympics can box. With a gold medal, did it twice. Okay. But he's taking on a 23-year-old kid. That 23-year-old kid named Lopez had also been in the Olympics. He represented Honduras, which isn't terribly known for grabbing medals in the games. By the way, he's 23 years old. I mean, in all fairness, he's a boy. He doesn't have all of his strength. He didn't have all of his experience yet, and he failed at something Lomachenko succeeded at twice. That's all the evidence I have. But I share that with you because that's probably more evidence than you had, right? Boxing just has not done a great job of telling these stories, particularly when they don't think the other guy even belongs in there, and they did not think Lopez belonged in there. Lopez is talking so much trash. Oh my gosh. Lopez is saying he would put Lomachenko down. He dismissed him. They asked him to apologize for it. He said, I apologize with nothing. I'm gonna speak with my family. I'm gonna knock this guy out. He would not stop. And even Lomachenko did it. You've seen those guys that get punked in a verbal off. So their way of doing it is they just throw the towel in and they sit back and they like laugh because they're not clever enough to come up with a response. And then they say, well, at some point he's going to have to answer for the things he says, right? Like, oh my God, gag me with a smurf, the most boring thing in the world. But you see it all the time. When one guy is outsmarted and he knows he is, so then he acts like it's all a big joke and he threatens that he's going to do his talking with his fighting. That's what Lomachenko did. Lopez wasn't kidding around. So the very first round of this opens up, Lopez whips his ass. And it was a lot like watching Conor versus Floyd. And the one thing about watching Conor versus Floyd is there was less than 10 seconds left in the first round when Floyd Mayweather took a closed fist and moved it in a forward direction. He did not even try to win the round. He never once saw an opening. He never once took a risk. He never once mounted an offense until there was 10 seconds left. The one and only punch Floyd threw in the first round, and the crooked Nevada State Athletic Commission gave the round to Floyd. I bring that to you because Lomachenko was in the same spot. He just could not see an opening. This Lopez would pressure him, and then he would blitz him, and he would get out of the way, and Lomachenko would have to start back over and try to find his way back in. It was just rinse and repeat. Lopez kept doing it. All of a sudden, the bell rings. Round's over. 1-0 Lopez. They go to the second round. It's the same as the first. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, it's all the same. I mean, even boxing that loves to do the screw job, right? That loves to just, we'll give it to who the media said we should give it to. We'll give it to who we think the promoter wants, right? Even they had to give all 6 for Lopez. There was just no way around it. It was just as clear as Floyd versus Conor round 1. And even if you're in a dirty commission like Nevada, that's still hard to do. I understand Nevada, but it's hard to do. So they give all 6 to Lopez. So the ESPN announcer had a great line. And he says it in the 7th round. He says, guys, I'm aware that Lopez is winning this fight. But believe me when I tell you, eventually a fight's going to break out because Lomachenko's not going to just give this thing away. 8th round comes around. That was the round when Lomachenko realized, I'm in trouble. I want these championships, and I am a champion. And he started coming after him. The problem was Lopez was ready for it. Lopez didn't mind being in a fight himself. So he finds himself in a fight for the next 4 rounds. This was a great match. There was no reasonable person that could make a case in fairness to give that to Lomachenko. That doesn't mean the 3 guys that got licensed to be boxing judges are reasonable people. They never have been over the history of time. Why would they be this night? They were. They had it right. Lopez leaves with all the belts. Now, I'm giving you the story of what happened, but it's a projection and a glimpse into the future, right? ESPN top-ranked Lomachenko and Lopez are going to want to run that one back. That was not a big fight for Lopez in the scope of big fight. A rematch would be a big fight, be a huge fight. But nobody knew that Lomachenko could be beat, particularly by a boxer that's 23 years old from Honduras who did the same amateur path as Lomachenko did and didn't have nearly the success. It was a very interesting tale. And the history of boxing says if a younger guy beats an older guy and they rematch, the younger guy will beat him again, only easier. I think that many of us believe that now that Lomachenko has learned that Lomachenko perhaps just didn't know, not that he didn't take him seriously from a physical and a training standpoint. Lomachenko's never blown anybody up. But a lot of times when you find yourself in a fight that is harder than you thought it was going to be, things unravel very quickly. I'm not here to suggest for you that that is what happened. I'm here to suggest for you that that is what might have happened. When you find yourself in a match that's harder than you thought the match was going to be, it's very hard to correct that on the go. And there was no signs of Lomachenko that he was quitting, that he was sailing it in. There was very good signs that Lopez stood ground, used the reach, got out of the way, never let Lomachenko close enough until the 8th round. And then it turned out Lopez was a bit of a brawler himself, not just a boxer. Very interesting fight. I bring this to you. If you've missed it, you missed something great. Good news, I predict for you, you're going to see it again.